was a concerted effort here to make sure that the Congress never saw the light of day on these documents. They still owe us more. We're appealing this ruling because we think we need 100% of the documents to get to 100% of the truth, and that's what we're committed to.
Well, the chairman of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Jason Chaffetz, on this program, talking about new documents in the Operation Fast and Furious investigation. It goes back several years, but now 20,000 documents coming from the administration. We talked about a few of them earlier, but here's a couple of other emails. One from March 2011, the ATF and the DOJ, Department of Justice, discussing withholding information related to Fast and Furious firearms. Quote, "We would suggest you pull the sentence that notes how many weapons we've recovered. It squares poorly with how many we haven't." Here's one from June 2011. The FBI writes to DOJ officials, "I understand we're deferring to you all on whether to provide a couple lab reports to ISA," then Chairman ISA of the committee before Chaffetz, "in the ATF matter. This is a very bad idea. This will become precedent for Senator Grassley's office to seek actual documents from DOJ and the FBI in pending criminal investigations." Just some of the 20,000 documents. We're back with the panel. Steve, how significant?
Well, I think it's significant in that it gives us a behind-the-scenes look at just how far the Justice Department was willing to go to avoid transparency. Remember, President Obama came in and on his first day, full day in office, issued an executive memo saying that his government would be, his administration would be the most transparent administration in history and would abide by transparency requests and congressional inquiries, even if it were to prove politically embarrassing. Well, this was politically embarrassing, and it's very clear, as laid out in those emails that you just read and the others that you read before, and others, that they had no intention of being transparent and that they did everything possible to withhold information from Congress. But more broadly, this is about the administration and honesty. This is about the administration and integrity. We know that with respect to Fast and Furious, the administration misled Congress several times. There was a letter February 4th, 2011, in which they claimed that there was no gun walking. We didn't know. And then just a short time later, they had to write back. Deputy Attorney General James Cole had to write back to Congress. Facts have come to light during the course of this investigation that indicates the February 4th letter contains inaccuracies. They were not inaccuracies, they were lies. And the second thing is Eric Holder testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee and claimed that Michael Mukasey, his predecessor in the Bush administration, had known all about this, had been briefed on all of this. He later had to retract that testimony because it was false. At a certain point, after this many inaccuracies and after a pattern of trying to withhold documents from Congress, you blame the Obama administration.
So, you know, it's important to put context here. Besides this operation and the scandal and getting the documents, you did have a Border Patrol agent who died as a result of this gun-walking botched operation. Brian,
look, it would be really easy for me, as a member of the mainstream media, to say the Republican Party is overreaching here, and this isn't a scandal, it's a bad policy that went wrong. The problem is that I think the real issue here is what Steve was talking about. We cannot have a healthy democracy in the digital age, in the modern age, without more transparency in our government. And President Obama not only said what you said, but he also said that from now on there's going to be a presumption that every document that is produced by my government will be public, unless we can make the presumptive argument that it needs to be private. Instead, he has factually been the least transparent administration, probably in this nation's history, certainly in modern time. And it comes at a time when people are demanding to have more transparency in their government, when we need to have more transparency in our government, and when we're losing all trust in our government. And when you have something like this, where the administration is clearly lying, it's clearly hiding documents that belong to us, not them, and their Secretary of State did what she did with her emails, we really have a problem. And we all do, not just the Democratic Party, not just the Republican Party, but how are we going to conduct our government in this coming century?
This particular operation, we're still, in different instances, finding guns tied to Fast and Furious, tied to crimes.
But it tells you how far away from the underlying scandal we have come. I mean, I agree with everything that Chaffetz is doing, and I admire it. But the fact is, and you know, I'm cynical enough to believe this is further proof that stonewalling works. We can't even remember what the scandal was about. They've succeeded 4 years in hiding this stuff. It's now has come out. There are about 9 months to go in the administration. This will get the minimal coverage in the mainstream media. The story will be gone in a few days, and it will have zero effect on what happens in the real world between now and the next election. As was just indicated, the fact is the president is supporting a candidate who deliberately created an email system so that it would never be found. And that's what we're living in. And the reason they do it is because it works.
That is it for the panel.